Hi, I'm Hyde. I'm one of the leaders of the Sierra Club, and I wanted to share with you what I typically bring on a 2-day backpack. This is geared towards a desert backpack, but it's mostly the same stuff I would bring for some other backpacks as well. Now, I like to carry a day pack, so if we're going to be doing any day hikes from the base camp, I put that in first. The reason I do that is because the desert is full of cactus, and I don't want to have any damage occur to my water. Alright, I have extra water. You probably will have more than 2 liters, but for demonstration purposes I'm just showing you 2 today. That goes in the bottom. And the water I'll be drinking first goes in the water pocket. Typically you want things that are heavy to be towards the bottom or the back of your pack to make it most comfortable. Alright, I have some extra clothes here. For a 2-day backpack, will bring a second pair of socks, also good for sleeping. And I tend to sleep cold, so I bring long underwear, one on the floor, and a shirt here. Okay. I also put into that pack my rain pants, which I typically bring even if it's not going to rain, just as an extra layer to keep warm in the evenings. These clothes, by the way, are also my pillow. That will go in. And my tent. If I'm going someplace that does have tons of cactus, I bring a different tent because this one's a little bit fragile. But it's my preferred tent, so if I have space, I pack it inside my backpack to keep it more protected. If not, it will go on the outside on the bottom. If it's going to rain, I'll bring my rain jacket and a pack cover. If it's not going to rain, I leave those out. I have sleeping gear next. I have a blow-up sleeping pad and a sleeping bag liner. I use my sleeping bag liner even if it's not going to be very cold to protect my sleeping bag. Also, if it is going to be quite warm, sometimes I just bring that and not my sleeping bag, but it has to be very warm for that. That will go in. Do a little rearrangement. My sleeping bag is here. Goes in. I have some toiletry items. I'm not very picky, so I just have a little tiny bag. Goes in. And I have my first aid kit. And then it's kind of like a secondary first aid kit. It's more of an emergency kit. So I have some fire starter, I have an extra headlamp, I have some extra string, an emergency blanket, some hand warmers, that kind of thing. I like to keep it separate from my first aid kit because if there is an emergency and I need my first aid kit, I don't want to be digging through all that stuff. I have my trowel. Also in this bag I have a garbage bag, toilet paper, and some wet wipes. That I keep on the front of my pack so I don't have to dig through everything if I've got to go. I have a puffy jacket for the evenings to keep me warm. And then I have a bunch of stuff that goes on the outside. Let me show you that later. And I have my cooking stuff. It's all here and more in here. I typically carry a jet oil. It's very efficient, although a little bit heavier. So for a 2-day backpack, I would bring 2 lunches. One lunch I keep accessible so that I can get to it the first day. The other one I will pack in my food bag. I bring apples if it's just a short trip because I love them. They're so delicious when it's hot out. But if it's a longer trip, I probably would bring something lighter, more dehydrated fruit. My dinner for the first night, if it's just a 1-night backpack, I want something light. Typically just bring some dehydrated soup. This is dehydrated curry lentil soup. There's also a split pea soup I like a lot. I added to it some whole wheat couscous, a whole bunch of dried greens, dried mushrooms, dried summer squash, and zucchini. It's all just put boiling water right in the bag. It's in a freezer bag, so I don't have to cook anything, which I also like if I'm in bear country because then my stove doesn't smell, only if the trash smells. Alright, so that goes in. Next day for breakfast is oatmeal. really don't like instant oatmeal, I just don't like the texture. So this is old-fashioned oatmeal, and it has in it some flax seeds, raisins, blueberries, and walnuts. I normally at home don't use blueberries, but it makes it so much sweeter and better back then. Okay, I have some electrolyte mix, which I typically use on the second day. Sometimes the first day is going to be very hot. My snacks for day 2. The amount of snacks I bring, of course, will just vary depending on how hard the trip is, how hot it is, and how long it is. I have hot chocolate from the first night, keeps me warm, and I have tea for the morning. Okay. Now when I make my breakfast and my dinner, I will open that plastic bag, keep all the food in the plastic bag, but just put the bag in here to keep it warm. Also then gives it some stability, so after I've boiled my water, I will pour it in there, mix it around, let it sit until it's whatever consistency it should be. I want to eat it. Also take a spoon and fork, which was in there. Okay, so this I typically pack in my water, in the same pocket as my water bladder, just because it fits there well. And then extra food, and my stove. If you haven't used a jet boil, by the way, it's pretty handy because the stove, the fuel canister rather, goes right inside the stove. This screws onto there, and then it just attaches onto the bottom. This goes on. Like that. Everything else that I bring, I want to have more accessible, so it tends to be on the outside of my pack. So this, I will sit down. Keep an extra long sleeve shirt in case I get cool hiking. That goes in the front pocket. And then my phone, which I like to keep with me, especially in our deserts here in Southern California. A lot of times we do have phone service, so if there's an emergency, I definitely want my phone. If it was going to rain, even a minuscule chance of rain, I'd put it in a plastic bag. And then I keep it in my pack. Sometimes I keep it in my pocket, but it's kind of heavy. I prefer it in my pack. It just lives up there. Okay. And the outside of my pack, I have sunscreen, so I can easily get to it. I have my headlamp. Again, if I can easily get to it. I take chapstick that has sunscreen, that lives in my pocket. I always carry my ID on my person. I also have my insurance card just in case. Those stay on me. I have a map, compass, and either a pen or a pencil. The pen and pencil, and if you have a blank backside to your map, is also good as part of a first aid kit in case you need to take notes for some reason. I have a little mini first aid kit, which I keep more accessible. It has my knife, it has some athletic tape in case of blisters, and medicine. I think it's mostly just Advil at the moment, and hand sanitizer for eating. Then, okay. This is what I make my hot chocolate and my tea in, and electrolytes also. If I wanted to carry more water, if I needed a little bit more than I have in this pack, I could also fill this with water for the first day. It lives on the outside. As do some of my snacks. This is homemade trail mix and some dried fruit. I have sunglasses, which will be on me, and a hat, which if I'm not wearing it is attached to the outside of my pack so I can get to it quickly. Oh, got this. First lunch goes in here. Apple's kind of heavier, so I don't like it on the very top, so it goes in one of the side pockets. And then a couple granola bars go in my hip pocket. And that's that. I think that's everything. That helps you pack your pack and have a wonderful trip.